Hello, long time no see on this channel, but I'm back here with a quick video of something that I've been working on. This is a brand new custom to-do list that I've made using Cursor, various things, etc., etc. It is currently codenamed Aries. I will probably change that. It's already changed quite a bit since I first created it, but I basically wanted to do a kind of unscripted video demoing what I have here, and just start talking about it. This is not available publicly right now because of a lot of the variables, and there's a lot of sensitive stuff for like Firebase and my Google account and everything set up here. I do intend to release this in some method once it's closer to being finished, and a big part of that is releasing this video so that I can gauge how many people are actually interested in something like this. So, to-do lists. I have tried a lot of them. To-do list, ClickUp, was it called TickTick, Obsidian, Notion, all of them. There's so many. Habitica, and they all have things I like and things I don't like, and it's very frustrating because there is no perfect solution for me and the way that my brain works. And I decided, wait a minute, hold on. Now that we're in this new cursor age where you can just code using AI and stuff, why don't I just try taking this on myself? And so this is my to-do list. This is exactly how it looks. I just started recording immediately without doing any sort of prep, which is a little bit dangerous, but the good news is that this one has I'll basically just talk about features and changes and stuff as they come up. This is a very unscripted video. I have a privacy screen, which is nice. A big reason why I never covered my Todoist workflow when I still use Todoist is because I was like, oh god, but then I have to show all of my like stuff that I would rather not show in public, and then I have to censor a bunch of things manually. Now I just have to be very careful of how I hover over these, and we should be fine. The probably the more obvious thing about this, other than that, the fact that there's a privacy screen, is that it's node based. This is based on the skill trees in originally Final Fantasy X, later on developed by Path of Exile, where you basically have this center node that reaches out to a bunch of different nodes, and this works kind of how what you would expect. So the center node here is just the kind of like your major life goal. So if you accomplish everything in your life that you would ever want to accomplish, you become superhuman, or Ubermensch, as Nietzsche said. That's an ongoing little bit in all the writing I do, is to call that the Ubermensch, that final life goal. But then there's different sort of skills that you might have associated with bigger projects associated with this main goal. So we might have health, and then from health we might split it off into diet. We might split it off into fitness. Let me try and zoom this in so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Diet and fitness, and it's all based on this canvas, right? I tried to keep this as similar to the Obsidian canvas as I possibly could, because I really like the Obsidian canvas, and I did try at some point to make something very similar to this in Obsidian, but of course it does not actually work very well. So I didn't really do it. So, God, where do I start with this? So yeah, it's you can set all this stuff up however you want. If I wanna this is one of these. I need to remember what each of these are. You know what? These are all my story ideas. I feel like they're names, so you can't really get much out of the names. If I want to move this in, and you'll notice I can switch modes. Check-in mode is if I want to like say that I did this, then I will click it and it will pop up as accomplished. But then I can switch over to the editing mode, and this is where I can actually do my moving around stuff. I can select multiple things. I can connect two different nodes together. I can delete nodes that I don't want anymore. I can highlight nodes, which we'll cover again later. Set up these text boxes here, which still need to be worked on, as you can tell. And I can also place new nodes. So I can place the skills node, Ubermensch, and then these three nodes, which we'll cover. So you'll notice that they're, oh my god, I really need to fix this. This is next on my list. This is to fix the text boxes. It actually is the next thing on my list, is to fix these. 3 different types of nodes. One is a habit node. The reason I'm not clicking these is because there's no undo button for these. If I click them, they're basically ones that are optional. They don't go towards my final score. Another thing we'll cover in a little bit. But I can click them and I can do them multiple times a day, right? So for example, if I'm reading physical books, right, my physical book backlog, if I read a chapter in one book, that counts towards this habit node once, but then I can read another chapter later on that day and it counts again towards my health, improving my health. So that's how that one works. Dailies are things like oh god, what is this one? Oh, it's just lunch. Okay. Like having lunch. This is my healthy lunch, so I have this specified as its own kind of separate thing here. Task nodes are just you do it once and then you're done forever. And then yeah, dailies are I didn't explain dailies because I feel like the name makes it pretty obvious. So that's one way this all works, and then you can complete. So if I can complete like this one, and this one, it completes this whole section. And then when I complete this whole section, then all the things surrounding this one, it completes this section, and then we get closer and closer to Ubermensch. So that's how these nodes work, and that's what the nodes mean. So it's kind of, I mean, it's actually kind of similar to any other to-do list you've probably ever seen, because most to-do lists have things like habits and tasks and dailies. It's just a different way of representing them. I think the next thing I probably want to cover is the health feature, because that's the big one. So health, of course, there's a couple of, I think Habitica is probably the biggest one that uses health scores in some way. Basically, the way that this works is that when you do a task, it improves your health, right? So you get more health. But if you miss a daily, if you don't do a task, you'll see some of these are red. It's because I haven't done them in a long time. And specifically the task nodes, which are not optional, unlike the habit nodes, they basically do damage to you, but then they do more damage over time the more you don't do them. Very similar to Habitica. So if you've used Habitica before, you understand the concept that I'm talking about. Same thing with habit nodes. I think their habit nodes work the same way. So you can improve your health, you can lower your health. One thing that I really didn't like about Habitica, well, there's two things I didn't like about Habitica that I got rid of here. The first one is that I only have health, and the health is unrestricted. So the way that it works in Habitica is you have health potions, so you get gold, your gold increases, and then when you don't do a task or a daily or whatever, your health goes down, and then you can do a potion. I had that originally in this idea, but I felt like it was too many steps removed. What's the point? If the only thing that potions are used for is to improve your health, why have potions? Why not just have health? And so I did this, and then I also made it so that the health was uncapped, so that if you have a really successful day, you can reward yourself, right? If you have a day where you have a bunch of tasks that you've done, and you're not going to like die or whatever in the next couple of days, then you should be rewarded for that, right? And you should be able to like have a break and not worry about that sort of stuff. Whereas not necessarily the case when your health is locked to 100. But the big thing that I changed here that was different from how Habitica works is the death system. When you die, when you hit 0 health in Habitica, nothing really happens. That's that important. You lose all your health, and I think you might lose gold. You might lose an item of the fictional virtual items that they give your characters. I don't really remember what happens when you die, but I remember nothing of value happens. Not so in this game. In this game, when you die, you have to delete one of these. You have to remove a node. And that's if you hit 0 health. Sometimes, if you're like, say I'm at 10 health, I end the day at 10 health, but I have so many nodes that there's like, I don't know, negative 400 health, right? Is how much I'm going to have. Like, I'm going to take 400 in damage. It's going to bring my health down to negative 400. In that case, I have to delete one node for 0, and then I have to delete another node for 100, and another node for 200, and another node. Like, it stacks. It gets worse and worse. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The first is that there's stakes, right? Because you don't want to lose data because data is something that is actually tangibly important. And so if my tasks are just getting deleted, originally I had a system where you didn't get to choose what nodes were deleted; they were random. But that I felt like that was kind of aggressive, so that's now an optional toggle. Like if you want to play Dante Must Die mode, you can play that version, or the default is you just pick which ones, which can be still circumvented in a cheating way where if you die, you just like recreate the nodes real quick. But there's enough friction there, especially if you die, like you lose like 10 nodes or 5 nodes or whatever. It creates enough friction where it's like, oh god, I don't want to like recreate all the nodes that I had to delete. So I would rather just not die. But a cool little thing that comes from having that idea in place is that it also keeps your focus and your productivity and your goals constrained in a healthy way. Because if I am more likely to die in this game than I'm more likely to die in this game if I just keep adding more and more and more nodes to this list, right? If I overscope my work, if I add too much scope creep to my life, then I'm more likely to perish in this game. What happens then is there's a corrective measure where my system gets smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it's easily manageable for me to do everything that I need to do in a day. It is self-managing, which is really, really cool. And not what I intended, to be clear. All I cared about was that there was some incentive that, like, when your health goes down to 0, I can't zoom in on the health thing, so I apologize. I can only zoom in on the nodes. If my health goes down to 0, I should say there's actually even a cool little feature here, not super important to what I'm demoing here, but if you look to the side of my head there, that way, it actually will tell you, like, here's how much damage you're going to take today. Oh, you can't, like, can you never see my, well, because you just can't see my cursor, huh? The top number, the 1080, is how much damage you're going to take, and then the 3670 is how much damage you're going to have tomorrow. So, or how much health you're going to have left tomorrow. So you can plan out. You can plan out and figure out, like, okay, here's the tasks I need to do to make sure that I don't die today. So it's not like you have no idea going into it. I think that's another feature that I don't know if it's in Habitica or not. But I guess it doesn't matter as much. So that's a big one. So what have we covered of the major things that make my to-do list system weird and unique? Skill tree, definitely different. And then the health system is different. Last thing is randomness, which, if you know me, I've covered this. I guess it depends on if you have watched my other videos or read my other articles. This might be kind of boring to you, but if you're brand new here, then this might be a little bit more interesting. I love randomness in tasks. I am very easily distracted, very easily bored by stuff. And I found out a couple of years ago now, I think like back in 2021, when I first used my mind, and my mind had the random, you could get a set of tasks and then you can have the tasks shown to you one by one at a random basis. I used that. I was like, oh my God, this is so much better of a way for me to be like engaged with the work that I need to do, is if I am able to select these randomly. And so I've done this before. I had, of course, the infamous Notion stockpile that crashed. I had the second infamous Obsidian stockpile, which also crashed. But I've done this stockpile system a couple of times in various different cases. The stockpile lives on in this Aries app through a system called highlighting and this little random node button. So what I can do is at the start of my day, I can basically highlight whatever tasks I would like to focus on, right? I want to do, this task, this task, this task, this task. No, you can't see my cursor now. What the hell? Okay, whatever. This task, etc., etc., etc. I can do all that. And then when I press the random button, it'll take me to a random one that is selected, and I can hover over it and be like, oh, I have to do this one now because the gods have chosen me to do this random task, which I thought was kind of cool. So it's like the perfect, the stockpile system works pretty much no matter what, as long as you don't have 60,000 items, apparently. In that case, it doesn't work very well. But the good thing about the skill tree is that it's always pretty small because there's an incentive for it to be small, which we already covered, right? So I think we have covered the list. Like I said, I'm very happy for this privacy screen. There's not that much. I mean, it all lives in this one view. I guess it's another thing to talk about. There's no views beyond this. There is some older stuff here, like this daily note feature that I'm probably going to get rid of and place in a different app, and we'll talk about that one when we want to talk about it. But it's all just the canvas. That's all it is. This is the only view. It works in mobile. I got the whole thing working in mobile. There's a couple of errors here and there, but they're more like related to things where it's like it probably also doesn't work on on the normal desktop version. But yeah, if you went to this website on your phone, you could just move through. You would use your thumb to. You can't see my thumb. You would move your thumb to do this. You can press the buttons down here to zoom in, zoom out, and of course, it's very hotkey centric. So if I want to do like a plus here, minus here, you saw me use you do the editing stuff all hotkeyed, and of course the random nodes are hotkeyed as well. So I think that covers it. Like I said, if you guys are interested in this, if you like to check it out, that gives me more incentive to release this in some sort of way. But mostly I just want to show off a cool portfolio project I've been working on. And yes, I have been using this every single day since I think the beginning of December or the November maybe, because yeah, I mean it's my ideal to-do list. I wanted to make something that was specifically for me that I would really enjoy, and it looks cool too. I based it a lot on like graph view and stuff like that from Obsidian, the Obsidian canvas, things like that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.